Hey, I'm training to be a championship cuber and documenting the process. If you're new here, every single week, I make a training plan for exactly how I'm going to practice cubing, log all of it in a spreadsheet, then make a video like this going over my previous week and how I'm going to improve the next week. My ultimate goal is to make the final round at a major championship for everything from 3x3 up to 7x7, sometime between now and the end of 2031. Today, I'm going to recap my training this last week. I learned COLL last week, along with a lot of interesting solving practice. Then I'm going to talk about something that I'm noticing that I call the midwit plateau, which I get from the midwit meme, the bell curve with the crying guy in the middle, and how there are a lot of common things that I'm doing wrong right now that I kind of need to do wrong so that I can progress, but it's a really funny bell curve thing. And then talk about how I'm going to work on starting full ZBLL this next week. Huge announcement. I am now sponsored by the Cubicle. Use code TRUE at checkout for 5% off. I am beyond stoked to be working with the Cubicle. Ever since I was 10 or 11, I've wanted to be sponsored by the Cubicle. I just never made content or dedicated myself enough to cubing to make it happen. So when they reached out to me, I was really stoked because I believe in their brand and everything they've done to support the cubing community. They have the absolute best premium products in the cubing world. Ever since Chris Tran first started working with them and innovating, and now they have Steven, and they have great connections with all the manufacturers. They have Ro and an amazing team in the pro shop, along with a slew of other designers and people who are great at setting up cubes. They understand the community. They are a brand and company who I am beyond excited to partner with. Phil has done so much for me to make opportunities possible for me, connecting me with top cubers I can record content with, working with Cubing GG to develop a educational product I'm really excited about, as well as coaching for me. So if you want to support the channel, please, code TRUE at checkout, and I will remind you of that every video until you hate me for reminding you. Okay, my next competition is Agora Winter 2026. That's coming up in about a month. I'll be doing 2x2 and 3x3 there. I expect nothing from it, but I'll go anyway. So, what did I practice this last week, now that I yapped about myself for the intro of the video? Well, basically, I learned COLL. So I didn't know any COLL this last a week ago, and now I know full COLL. I also did quite a bit of solving, and everything was unlimited inspection because I'm trying to get to the point where I can make an intentional decision about cross plus first pair from inspection right now. I didn't really intentionally train big cubes this last week. So I ended up doing it for 3 or 4 hours, but most of my time was spent on 3x3. One note about this is even though I spent 15 hours where I had a timer running for 3x3, I only had the timer running when I was very actively working on solving or learning algorithms. And for learning algs, I probably spent, according to this, I spent about 7 hours learning algs this last week, but really it was closer to 10 hours because there were a lot of times where I would be learning algs for 15 or 20 minutes. Then I would stand up, walk around outside for 10 or 15 minutes, then come back to let my brain reset. And I stopped the timer for all of that. So this time may or may not be accurate. This is just time I am very actively focused on 3x3. So I learned full COLL this week, and it was pretty evenly split between learning the algorithms and then drilling and reviewing everything. I was globaling about 10.4 seconds on 3x3 this week, and that is a pretty sharp increase from what I was last week, which was 10 flat or 9.9. And that's mostly because of me trying to inspect really deeply and having COLLs coming up and forcing myself to use it all the time. Inspecting really deep into my solves is hard because as I look at the earlier parts of my 3x3 solve, I'm able to do that well, but I spend so much brain space on the early part of my solve that I can't look ahead to the later parts. And then COLL is hard too. So on an average of 100 I did this week, I had 100 solves and 40% of them were 11 seconds or longer. 15% were above 13 seconds, and it was still a 10.4 average of 100. So even though I'm globaling 10.4, I have a lot of solves that are not going well at all because I flame out messing up my inspection, or I get a COLL case that took me extra to recognize. So I am improving, I think, but times weren't super encouraging, which is what I just talked about. Solving sucks because I have new algorithms I'm trying to implement, and inspecting deeply throws off my ability to look ahead. I'm training a new muscle, so I'm less instinctive through the rest of the solve. I did a little bit of big cubes this week. I got this 5x5 average, 1 minute, 0.1 second, which was kind of depressing, but it's okay. Time barriers are just a social construct. I am telling myself that. I'm kind of disappointed, but I'm going to get back on the 5x5 grind. So, biggest happening this week is I learned COLL in 1 week. I did not learn Soon and Anti-Soon, but I learned all the other ones. And in case you are unaware, and this is pretty cool, I have this sweet new over-the-shoulder angle now. COLL is where you do, let me set one up, is where you do a case like this, where you have cross edges oriented and corners unoriented. And then you do one alg to both solve the top like OLL and also permute the corners. So that solved all the corners and oriented yellow. My normal alg for that would not have solved the corners there. So I learned that full algorithm set this week. And the reason I learned that alg set this week is because I want to learn full ZB, which I'll talk about that in a minute. And this was a great starting point for how do I feel learning algorithms? How good am I at it? How hard is it for me? How quickly do the algorithms leave my brain? And it also teaches me to recognize corner permutation, which is really important for recognizing ZB and how the whole thing is set up. So here are some of my thoughts after learning like 35-ish algorithms this last week. The first thing is, at my current level of skill, I need to learn an algorithm with visuals, then solidify the algorithm with muscle memory. So let me, not that one, this one. I have a Stream Deck too, and I'm still trying to figure out how it works. So with this algorithm, just a U-perm, the way I learned this, it's kind of funny. This is the midwit meme. The way I learned this as a beginner is I literally watched the cube, and I knew turn the front twice, turn the top, down, down, flip these bars around, up, move this bar over, turn the front, right? That's how I learned this as a beginner, was visually. What is happening on the cube? How do I watch it happen? When I first learned PLL, I just did these algorithms over and over and over and over and over again until I finally just knew that's a U-perm. I never tried to figure it out visually. I never tried to understand what I was doing. I just kind of grinded the alg over and over and over again, especially for algs like the Y-perm or the T-perm, right? You just do it and do it and do it and do it until it becomes muscle memory. What's funny is now that I've learned COLL, and I did it in just a week, and it's pretty solidly in my system now, it is actually really important to start learning algorithms visually, then make them a muscle memory thing as you go. So let me give you an example of that. Where's my button? This one. Okay, so let's take this COLL again. Right now, I know this algorithm by muscle memory, but when I started learning it, I would say watch this pair right here. I know it starts R2 D prime. Now I'm going to break this pair up and put the corner over here. Now I'm going to do RUR. Now the pair is here, then reinsert the pair. So there's some practical movement going on, but there's also visual memorization going on. That's much easier for me to retain than just spamming random moves and hoping that my fingers remember it. Eventually, over the course of drilling the algorithms 10, 20, 30, 50 times over time, I stop thinking about the visual of that algorithm and it becomes just muscle memory. But the fastest way to learn these algorithms is visually, and that's not a bad thing. It is the best way to get them into my system. The next thing I realized is the hardest algorithms to learn are actually really easy algorithms. They're just super similar to other algorithms. COLL and ZBLL have lots of inverse algorithms and lots of mirrored algorithms, as well as a lot of algorithms that are just a U or a U prime away. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of ZBLL algorithms that are just like soon, U prime back soon, or anti-soon, U prime soon. It is so hard to keep all of those straight. The hardest thing is not getting algorithms in my head, it's keeping the algorithms straight. Because of that, I found out that drilling algorithms in pairs is key. So let's take these two cases. These cases killed me when I first learned them. It took me like twice as long to learn as the other COLL cases. So both of these are L cases, and we call them L because the headlights are kind of shaped like an L. And they have two corners face up that are opposite colors. Red is opposite orange. The way you tell these cases apart is that on this case, this sticker matches this one, and on this case, the matches on the front. So opposites, matches on the right, opposites, matches on the front. When I was learning this set, I was learning 6 cases at once because there are 6 cases that have the same yellow shape on top. And every time I got one of these 2 cases, I mixed them up. And someone messaged me, a couple people actually, and told me, hey, just isolate those 2 cases and only drill these 2 until you can keep them straight. And then once I did that, it was like, oh, now I get it. And then this one is, that's embarrassing. I did it wrong too. That's awkward. You can tell I'm still learning this. But drilling in pairs has been really, really helpful for me to get algorithms straight. Something else I noticed, going back to learn by visual and then solidify with muscle memory, algorithms tend to get into my muscle memory by about the 4th session of review. So the way that I will typically learn these algs is I will have a session where I sit down and learn them for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Then a few hours later, I'll come back and just review all the algorithms I've learned using a trainer, like bestsiteever.net or jperm.net or solve.no, one of these guys, right? It usually takes about 3 or 4 of those sessions before an algorithm is sitting instinctively in my brain. So I'll learn the algs on Monday morning, I'll review them on Monday afternoon, I'll review them again on Tuesday morning, and they're pretty good. By Tuesday afternoon, the algs are clicking along super nicely. And those L cases that I just showed you are the most recent ones that I've learned. I've only done like 3 sessions of them. They're almost instinctive, but not quite. So that might explain some of the mistake that I just made. Or maybe it's the recording, I don't know. I haven't learned algorithms in years, like years. I learned full OLL 6 years ago now, maybe 7. And I was a teenager at the time, and I learned it spread out over the course of a whole year. These algorithms were way easier to learn than I thought. It was really hard. My brain was kind of fried, but I was able to absorb them much more quickly than I was able to learn PLL and OLL because I've become accustomed to how the cube works. I have more reference points for what those algs are like and what they connect to. The last thing is there are a few extra factors because I want to learn full ZB, like AUF. What should I do after the algorithm is over? And I'm not going to think about that at all until I'm familiar with all the cases of ZBLL. This is something I talked about with my coach. So those are kind of the notes on my experience learning algorithms. Now I'm starting on ZBLL proper. So COLL was this last week. I'm relatively consistent, got to keep stacking algorithms on. I'm being coached by Caden Lee for this. I've been working with Luke Greiser, but Luke Greiser doesn't use full ZB. So it was either Caden or Timon, and Timon doesn't really do like coaching proper, although I think I'll still get a chance to talk to him a little bit. We'll see. But Caden does use full ZB, and he's quite fast, ranked 160th in the world right now, roughly, for 3x3 average, and he uses full ZB. And he has a great YouTube channel, does coaching, so he and I are going to work together to get me over this full ZB hump. So the plan that he laid out for me, and I like this a lot, is start with the 5 ZBLL most common cases. So T, U, L, pi, and A. Don't learn the soon and anti-soon ZBLLs until later. Once I learn those 5 ZBLL cases, then learn the easy types of ZBLS. So there are some ZBLS cases that are pretty rare. So like a case like this, edge flipped in slot. This is not going to come up very often. So learning a ZBLS algorithm for this isn't a super good use of time. Or a case like this, where both edges are in the slot. Learning ZBLS algorithms for this case is not super helpful because it doesn't come up very often if you're a good solver. What is helpful is learning ZBLS for like this kind of case. So the order of algs that I'm going to learn is all the most important ZBLLs, then learn the ZBLS cases that come up a lot and are important, then learn soon and anti-soon ZBLL. I do want to use full ZBLL, not skip those 2. Then learn all the uncommon ZBLS cases, both pieces in the slot, flipped edge in slot, that kind of thing. And then somewhere after that, start learning maybe some 2-sided recognition, extra recognition angles, ZBLS from the left slot, all of that. My pace is probably going to be about 6 algorithms a day. Now that I've learned COLL and I've started actually learning ZBLL algorithms, I've started on T. 6 a day seems sustainable. More than 6 is possible, but there will be enough days that I can't hit my 6 algorithms in a day that I wouldn't want to make that the main plan. I really care about a consistent pace. I would rather have a system that I stick to 98 to 100% of the time versus one that I stick to 80% of the time, but it moves faster when I do use it. I'm always able to overshoot what I plan, but every time I make an insanely aggressive plan and then I stop sticking to it, I fall off the train completely. This is just something about me, but I, as a person, tend to have 2 modes, completely off or completely on. So I need a plan that I can always be completely sticky to. Any sort of plan that I'll occasionally fall off the bandwagon for, like a workout plan that's too aggressive or a diet that's too harsh, I might do one cheat day and then I just completely abandon the plan. Gradual, aggressive progress that I can actually maintain daily is important. So Carl, 6 algs a day seems like about the sweet spot for that. So how long do I think it will take me to learn full ZB? All the ZBLLs plus ZBLS to the point where I can limp through a solve with it. Not to the point where I'm world class with it, just enough that I can start making it instinctive. Well, for the first 5 subsets of ZBLL, I'm guessing I can learn 3 subsets of each of those algorithms a week. There are 28 subsets if you go across the 5 cases and all the ways the corners can be permuted, which means it'll take me about 10 weeks to learn those first 5 sets of ZBLL if I learn 6 algs a day or 3 subsets a week plus a break day. Then I've got the first half of ZBLS, which if I go at about 6 algs a day, that will be about 4 weeks of learning. And I'm guessing this will be much easier than learning ZBLL because there are a lot of mirrors and there are a lot of semi-intuitive cases in ZBLS. Then I've got to learn soon and anti-soon. And every single full ZB user I've talked to has said that they learned soon and anti-soon really, really fast, 1 to 2 subsets a day. Because by that point in the journey, you're really, really good at memorizing algorithms fast. So I'm guessing that at this point, I'll be able to crank those out in a couple of weeks, maybe 3. Then I'll have to learn all the uncommon ZBLS cases, which will be another 3 to 5 weeks of learning. So realistically, this plan includes a lot of days off, a lot of, margin for missing stuff or needing extra time to review. I'm probably looking at having all the algorithms in my system for full ZB in about 20 weeks. That seems conservative, but still realistic to me. My goal is to use it in my solves at the North American Championship, which I'm going to NAC. If any of you guys are going, I'd love to see you there. I wanted to go to Euros this year, but I have another trip booked at the same time, so I'll have to meet all my European peeps a different year. But I do have Oceanic Championship dates saved on my calendar. I haven't officially decided to go yet, but I'm not putting anything there just yet. So I'll be at NAC this year, and my goal is to have learned full ZB by NAC and be solving with it at the competition. I will not do very well, but that's the timeline that I'm hoping for here. Now, the reason I laid out a timeline like this, instead of doing it week by week, is I need to pace myself. So this last week, I did all of COLL in 1 week, and it felt amazing. Wow, you learned a whole ALG set in a week. You can learn full ZBLL in a month and a half, right? And then I started trying to learn the T cases, and I realized, okay, first, these are much harder than COLL because there are way more of them that are really, really similar. And second, that isn't realistic. That's not the right mindset. Play the long game. Make consistent, patient progress and let momentum have you improve. You can't just brute force improvement with an algorithm set this big in a short period of time. So I think this is a good timeline given all those things. Another thing that I've noticed is I'm still kind of learning how to memorize algorithms and how to work hard. I knew that learning these algs would be difficult going into it. I knew that learning COLL would be hard. I knew that it would take work. I knew that learning full ZB was going to take work. But I'm still learning how to actually do that hard work. So when I first started training my wife on doing powerlifting, which she wanted to do this, she wanted to learn how to deadlift and squat and stuff. The first time she did deadlifts, she was like, this is really hard. And I was like, yes, it is. But watching her deadlift, I could tell that she was using maybe 50% of her tank of energy. She could do way, way, way more. But she had never experienced pushing herself to 100% of her tank of energy. Yesterday, we went to the gym together and she did a set where she actually used 100% of her energy, like shaking as she was lifting the weight, all the way at the point of failure. And she was like, that was it. That was my max right there. And she knows that because for the entire last year, she's been training this exact same thing. She has learned how to push herself. She has learned what hard feels like. She didn't know that when she started training. She could just tell this is difficult and this is kind of on the easy side. I'm just starting to experience that with the skill of learning and optimizing algorithms. This last week was the first time in a very long time my brain had tried to absorb new algorithms. And at first, on day 1, I was like, wow, learning these algorithms is really, really difficult. But by day 3, I was like, oh, I got this. This is actually pretty easy. And I was developing the mental ability of sifting through the cases. And then I hit the L set. And it was like, oh, wow, these algorithms are super difficult. Oh, new tool, do drilling in pairs. That's what a hard algorithm set feels like. Instead of learning 6 at a time, I have to learn 2 at a time and polish these 2, then learn more, then learn more. So I'm still learning how to work on algorithms. But I've been saying in all my videos that I want to do the hard work of getting better at cubing. Well, guess what? What I experienced this week, this is what hard work feels like. Oh shoot, don't do that. There, my OBS is getting all messed up. There we go, we're back. So that's just a little thing I'm preaching to myself. I'm still learning what it actually feels like to work hard. I'm still learning what hard work actually feels like. So that's okay. This whole timeline that I laid out might be complete garbage. It might take me more time, it might take me less time. I'm still learning myself and my limits, but that seems like a good ballpark. Okay, now we get to talk about the midwit meme. I love memes. Memes are surprisingly philosophical for what they are. So this meme is one of my favorite memes in the world because it explains so much of life and is also really funny. And in cubing, I feel like this describes my experience with talking to cubers of various skill levels. And I fall right in the middle of this graph. When you talk to a beginner, all they do is they solve cube. And there's somewhere in the middle where a lot of beginners are like, tell me what algorithms intermediates. So like, tell me what algorithms I should learn. What look ahead should I do? And I should switch my algorithm to this or this finger trick to that or buy a new cube or optimize this. And like, I'm the guy who logs everything in a spreadsheet and wants to do optimal hard work practice and blah, blah, blah. But literally every ultra high level person I've talked to basically just does solves. The fast all-rounders I've talked to just solve a lot. You know, Dominic Radici. Yeah, I just solve lots of cube. I should probably do more intentional practicing. The guy like won North American Championship, World's podium, second in the world for average. Brendan Dunnigan got his clock world record recently. Super, super good at a ton of events, from big cubes to square one to clock to 3x3. And he just solves a ton, like a ton, all day after school. Daniel Partridge, another one, was second in the world for pure minx, fast at everything. I just like to do solves. Max Parks don't think, just solve. And I sit so squarely in the middle of this graph, I've started wondering, is it actually good to do such intentional practice? Or should you just follow the vibes and enjoy cubing? So as I've been thinking about this, the thing that made me want to make this video this week was this post from Carter Thomas. And this is in a private group that I ran this last couple of weeks. I got a few cubers together and we did kind of a boot camp where we all made a training plan. And then every day we said, we will stick to this training plan every day. And if we finish, I gave him a cubicle gift card. And I had like 20, 25 people in here. And Carter Thomas is obviously a very fast solver. He has a former world record, national records in clock, very fast at a variety of events. And his feedback on the whole boot camp thing, where you will make a training plan and regimentedly do it every day for 2 weeks. He says, I thought this path of improvement was dead on arrival. And I read that and I was like, oh dear, I should pay attention to this. Carter's really good. He says, I felt as though to be a high-level competitor, you have to actually enjoy cubing. With that, not have to force yourself to do drills. He's never really done anything outside of that stuff. Doing slow solves, intentional practice wasn't really used to. It helped a little bit. He's not entirely sure if his speed changed. It did help being obligated. to do the practice in the boot camp thing. So ultimately he was like, this was helpful, but he's gotten as far as he has having never done intentional practice. And that got me thinking, not doing intentional practice clearly works. So I think you can kind of boil down improving at speed cubing into a progression kind of like this. When you're first learning speed cubing, you just copy. You just learn a method and you do it. Learn a method and you do it. As you do this copying over and over and over and over and over again, you start to understand the moves that you're doing. Oh, this F2L solution affects this piece and that piece and the other piece. Oh, this F2L solution influences my last layer like this. And you start to learn why the things you're doing work. This is the level that I'm at right now. The ultimate level is to make everything instinctive, which is why top level solvers don't really think, they just go. That's where you have to get to be a high level solver. The way you progress down this continuum is through consistent exposure. This term consistent exposure sounds really, really fancy, but really all it means is just do solves. Have a cube in your hand, watch the pieces move a ton and get super familiar with it. Consistent exposure can come through things like doing drills or practicing inspection, but really, solves are the best way to get all of this stuff covered. There are all kinds of ways to get consistent exposure. Like, how do you motivate yourself to get to this point? There are some people who have fun solving, as in they don't care about the times they're getting, they just like the action of doing solves. There are most people who have an internal drive to improve because they like seeing the time go down. This is where the vast majority of cubers sit, is they cube a lot because of an internal drive to see number go down. For me, I have an internal drive because I want to do well. Competitiveness fuels me. I like seeing times improve, but it's more about competition than it is about times, to be totally honest. Then there are other people who have external drivers, and a lot of kids in China tend to fall into this, where they have a coach or a family or some outside of themselves reason that they have to cube more. Some people eventually might even be motivated to cube because they have to earn money. But these are kind of the different motivations as to how you can get yourself to have consistent exposure to the cube. You can have fun doing the action, you can have an internal reason to do it or an external reason to do it. The best and most sustainable of these reasons is to just love the act of cubing, to love the process of doing it. There are these really great quotes that I love from this guy on Twitter named Naval, who is a business guy, and he has these ideas about how what thing feels like play to you but looks like work to others. That's the thing you should do for work. If you find that thing, when you really work for yourself, you stop having hobbies, you stop having weekends, you stop having vacations, but you also don't really have work either. It's a really weird concept, and it's kind of hard to believe until you experience it. I'm kind of getting close to that myself, where between the couple of different business ventures I'm involved in and this new cubing thing that's growing kind of quickly, I don't really take days off because I don't feel like I have days on. I just do stuff that I love to do. And I expect there'll be hard parts of it, but the hard parts are worth it because I love the thing that comes after the hard part. Like this is being recorded the Sunday after Christmas week. I really hardly noticed it was Christmas. Like I went to a Christmas Eve thing with my family. I celebrated Christmas with my family. But like I still did work the morning of Christmas and the evening of Christmas and the next day, not because I'm a workaholic, but because the things that I call work that produce income for me are things that line up with the things I love to do. I got there by doing things I didn't love to do, but that's the most sustainable way to work. The people in the business world who make the most money, who build the biggest companies, are working on problems that they will be able to work on all day and all night and all of the next day and genuinely love the process of working on it. They almost always have some sort of other internal driver, shame, the need to prove themselves, a chip on their shoulder that combines with love in order to achieve things. But the most sustainable way to do really, really hard things for a super long time is to just love the thing. So why do I train the way I do, right? Why am I stuck at this midwit, like 10-second level of intentional training? And why am I not at the ultimate level of just doing solves? Well, for me, fun is focused work on an outcome. I have more fun training hard on specific things than I would just following the vibes and solving because I feel like it. I would rather go to the gym, sweat like a pig, and almost die under a strict powerlifting routine than just go play sports with my friends. But I'm weird. Not many people are wired that way. This is what I have learned about myself over the years. If you want to get better at cubing, you have to find the source of motivation that best helps you just do lots of cubing. So right now, this is me. And it needs to be me. Because in order to get to the point where just doing solves is what I enjoy the most and is the best for my improvement, I have to learn all the things that help me do effective solves. So the goal is lots of exposure to cube, right? Lots of exposure to pieces moving and Rubik's cubing ideas. But that's only helpful if you have the knowledge to make those things the right instincts. So my little progression chart here was copy, understand, make instinctive. You can only make instincts of cubing once you understand what's going on. And you develop understanding, at least in part, by intentional practice. I don't have all the proper understandings to make instincts out of yet. Like, it'd be really bad to make instincts out of always solving my cross in 12 moves on the top. I need to make the instinct solving an efficient X cross on the bottom of the cube. So I have to be in the middle of the midwit chart right now because I'm not a world-class solver. I have to learn to understand things, and it's kind of what suits my personality right now. But eventually, I'm going to end up down here. Eventually, if I learn full ZB, I understand how look ahead works really, really well. I'm good enough at inspecting that I can inspect cross plus 1 or cross plus 2 efficiently every solve. I will become a just do solves guy. Like, if you talk to somebody like Matty Hiroto Inaba, who I'm having on the podcast soon, guys, it's going to be super cool. He talks about how he almost exclusively solves a ton. And he doesn't even think that hard about it. He just goes. You get to that level by understanding what you do so deeply that it is just hone your instincts. Eventually, I'll get to that point. I'm just not there yet. And I've realized that's okay. I'm stuck at this mid-level right now because I need more understanding and more time, and eventually the best thing for me is going to be just doing solves. The thing is, most people are probably either here, where they need to do more optimal practice, or they're in my shoes, where they're up here and they're really needing to just solve a lot more and give their improvement time. Almost every cuber who I meet at competitions and stuff, though, who's like above 20 seconds, needs to start practicing more intentionally, learn more algorithms, do more targeted drills, fix their weaknesses, etc., etc. So I call this the midwit plateau because going into the midwit plateau, you don't keep improving at like the early intermediate level because you're not targeting your weaknesses enough. And ultra fast solvers will say just solve more or just do slow solves. That's not helpful advice because you need to do specific things to target your weaknesses. Video's coming on that soon. And if you're in my shoes where you're coming toward the end of the midwit plateau and you can't break into like the sub 10 territory, you probably just need to solve like a ton more and give your instincts time to develop. So for right now, I'm going in to learn full ZB mode. Like, I have to learn something like 800 algorithms over the next few months. That is not just do solves mode. That is understand full-on midwit mode. But for big cubes, I'm going into just do solves mode. I'm going to do a lot of big cube solves over the next year or two. And just trust that it will help me get faster. For 3x3, I'm excited for when I can get back to just solving. But I think if I could just turn my brain off a little bit, solve a lot, and try and make little incremental improvements to my solves, I'll be good. So what does that look like? Well, I'm going to start working on ZBLL. I have a morning session where I'm going to learn 6 algs each day, and then an evening session where I'm going to review all my ZBLL algorithms. Some of it will be recapping all my algs, and some of it will be targeted practice on the ones I'm struggling with. I'm not going to do more than 50 solves a day on 3x3. The reason for that is twofold. One, my priority is learning new algorithms. That will slow me down a lot. And number 2, these are unlimited inspection, where I'm trying to plan a 10 move or less X cross on every solve, which takes me like, my average of 50 takes me an hour right now, because I'm spending so much time checking like 2 or 3 different solutions for every F2L pair and finding X crosses. So that is not just solving, that is also an inspection drill. And then I'm going to do about an average of 50 on 5x5 each day. I'm going to rotate out which big cube I focus on every 2 to 4 weeks. So I'm probably going to give 5x5 a couple weeks here of just my all-out attention, want to crack into sub 1 territory, then I'll swap it out for another puzzle. I hope that was helpful for anybody watching. Use code TRUE at the cubicle for 5% off your next order, and watch whatever video YouTube is recommending to you right now to go do next.